Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Kingdom Props Network. Today we are representing the 20th anniversary of the Million Man March. You have Brother Musa Wahid and also myself, Mr. Samir Nichols. Today we're just going to highlight social injustice across America. One of our highlights is going to be the 20th anniversary of the Million Man March. And without further ado, I'm going to turn the table over to Mr. Wahid just so he can give us a little description about what's going to take place at this lavish event on October 10, 2015 in Washington, D.C. So if you could just tell us a little bit about that.
The 20th anniversary of the Million Man March, the world will experience unity on a whole nother scale. The original Million Man March of 1995 was the unity of black men. Now 20 years later, we're going back as a united front. We're going back as united as black men, united as black women, united as Hispanic men and women, united as Asian men and women, united as Indian men and women, united as Mexican men and women. We are uniting as the poor and the oppressed of America. So we are going back, all of those who America has allowed in and has become citizens and have experienced the American life and the American dream are now going back to DC to demand justice from a government who has been unjust to her citizens, to the children of America. So we are going back not just as one particular group. This is not a Muslim event. This is not a Christian event. This is not a Jewish event. This is not a black event. This is not an event for just men. This is not an event for just women. This is an event for all of those who seek and have yearned for justice.
So one of the questions that I think our viewers want to know is, how can young adults, young people, youth, adolescents, how can they get involved with the march and be engaged? And I'm not saying just involved, because a level of involvement and engagement are two different things. You can have someone involved, but they haven't fully engaged in it. So how can our young people across the nation get involved with this event and actually engage themselves?
The first step in becoming involved is showing up. A lot of times people get on Facebook and social media and express themselves, express how they feel on social media. That's fine, that's perfect. But once it's time to actually be a part of the movement, yes, a lot of our people participate in social media, but you have to be a part of the reality of the thing, right? Because expressing ourselves over social networks is not going to liberate us, or it's not going to give us justice. So you have to go to those in the streets. That's the young men and women that are in the corners, the young men and women that are in gangs. We have to go to them in real life to express the same news, to express the same truth. We can't do it all on social media. So what young people can do to be a part of the movement is actually showing up October 10th to Washington, D.C., getting on the bus, driving, catching the Amtrak, however, whatever means you can, getting on a bicycle if that's your only means. Whatever means of transportation you have, make sure you get there on the Washington Mall to participate in this monumental event.
So I know Minister Farrakhan has done a lot of organizing, a lot of things to just keep this event, the momentum for it. So what ways can people of all races and all creeds, what ways can they stay involved in this after the march? I think that's a big question. It's like, we're going to do this march, but what are we going to do after the march to keep the people engaged in the process?
To keep the people engaged in the process, we have to actually take the message and embody the message that he's going to deliver to us that day.
Okay.
Now, he has given briefs on, some action that we will take after 10, 10, 15, because it's bigger than 10, 10, 15. It's about 10, 11, and 10, 12, and so on and so forth. We need to take that message and embody that message. How can we embody that message? Take it back to our local cities and carry it into action. It's more than just, giving a round of applause or screaming. We need to actually take this, and take our bearing of witness that we have in the clapping of our hands and make that in our proactive efforts back in our city. It's about the movement. It's about the motion. We can all talk. A paralyzed man can talk, but what can he actually do?
Right.
So we need to, get away from being paralyzed as a people and start proactive movement as a people, participating in food drives, participating in boycotting, maybe the selling of drugs, or let's encourage our young people to get off the streets at a certain time. Okay. This is how we can embody the message that he's going to deliver us, actually carrying it into action after 10, 10, 15.
Okay. So with you being a part of the Nation of Islam and, with your brotherhood within the Nation of Islam, how can we as people, what should we expect from the march and from Minister Farrakhan's words, like just from the inside, but just being a part of the organization, how can all people benefit from the message? And what are we going to do? What is the Nation of Islam going to primarily do to make sure that all people benefit from the message?
Okay, I'm going to rewind. 20 years ago was the Million Man March. Why did the Honorable Louis Farrakhan call the Million Man March? He said he had examined what was going on in the black community. He said that the different messages that were being promoted in the different movies that had came out, like Menace to Society and Boys in the Hood and movies like that were being promoted in the black community. Then they had introduced gangster rap and different things like that. And he saw that out of this new movies and music, a culture had been produced amongst the black community.
Okay.
Then they had introduced crack, cocaine, and all of those things. So he saw what was being set up. And out of our behavior was going to be consequence. The behavior that had been introduced, the behavior that we were practicing in the black community, the black on black crime. Now we're selling drugs to our own people. Now we're killing our own people. Now you have children going into diapers. Now you have men being locked up and all of those things. And since all of these things had been introduced to us, now we're only behaving in accord with what has been introduced to us. So he said, wow, he sat back and said, wow, I see what's going on. He saw that America, the government, was planning a war on black people because of what we were participating in, that we had got out of their control. They could not control our killing, and it had become like fire. Fire is something, once you cook with fire, you warm your house up with it. But when it gets out of your control, it's hard to manage. Yep. So the behavior that was produced in the black community, it was now out of their control. So what was the best thing for them to do? Just wipe us all out. So the minister saw what they were planning, and he immediately went to work on a Stop the Killing tour. In 1994, he went on a Stop the Killing tour, went across America, went to every city in America, speaking to thousands of black men. In the midst of this tour, he said it wasn't really something that he called. He said that the words just came out. So he had to follow up with action. He said that I want 1 million black men to meet me in Washington, D.C. And he said that it was too late. He had already said it, so he couldn't go back on his words. He had to go forward with it. And that, it wasn't just Muslim men. It was the larger number of the showing were people of Christian faith.
Right.
So that was, the marvel of it. It's just like, how can this man call the multitudes to Washington, D.C., and they not all be of the same faith as he? So that's the brief history of the Million Man March. This is why he called the march, because he saw what our enemies' plans were for us, and he wanted to counter their plans. So now we have 20 years out of that one event. A lot of people don't see that, that it was any benefit, it was just a march. The plans that he hindered for us lasted 20 years. They were unsuccessful in coming and waging war on us on a larger scale like they wanted to. Their plans were unsuccessful for us. That's what the Million Man March did for us in the black community. Now we're going back 20 years later as Hispanics, as Indians, as blacks, as Asians. We're going back as a united front to confront the injustices here in America.
Do you firmly believe that the black on black crime in America today is a cause for the reason why government and politics are the way that they are? Because and this is just, food for thought for all of us as people. We have a lot of black on black crime, and then we throw a hatred towards white on black crime as if any crime is greater than any other. It's not. But to speak to the altitude of African American crime versus Caucasian American and African American, what can we do as being a part of this event, being a part of come together as all people? How do we start to make a mold? How do we make a mold to say we're going to move forward as all people? And not just say Black Lives Matter, White Lives Matter, but all lives matter. And I think that that's what this event is doing. It's showing unity, and that's the biggest thing, is that this event here is going to bring all people together. Do you agree with me to that altitude?
Absolutely. It's going to bring all people together who are suffering. Everybody's not suffering. Okay. That's the thing that we have to highlight. Everybody in America is not suffering. A lot of people are riding off the back of the poor, or riding off the back of the oppressed. So how do we address the situation at hand? How do we address the problem? You said, how can we move forward from this? How can we, what can we expect from this? Now, the minister, he has went on a 200-city tour this year to promote Justice or Else, the Million Man March, 20th anniversary. And in that, he said that I want everybody there. I want of course, black people, because we're at the bottom. Mm-hmm. And I want our Hispanic brothers and sisters. I want our Indian brothers and sisters, because they are the rightful owners of this land. This was stripped from them. They were robbed of this land, so they need justice. He said, I want the war veterans there, because they have not got justice. They have served America and have not been treated fairly after serving this country. He said, I want the poor whites there, because they are suffering from injustice. So this is not this is not race-based, this is not gender-based, this is not religious-based. This is for those who want justice.
I just want to say thank you for being spotlighting Camden in this event. I think that it's great that you're going to be there. I think that everyone in America should try to get there or try to show up. Once again, that event is on October 10, 2015. There's going to be local youth leaders there engaging in conversation and dialogue about the vision of the 20th anniversary of the Million Man March. It happens at the Washington Mall on October 10th, 2015. It's coming up really, really soon. We would like as many people as you can to participate. Please come out and support. If you are in the Washington, D.C. area at the time, make sure you get there. Make sure you partake in this event. It's going to be an amazing event. There's going to be speeches. There's going to be a lot of different festivities going on that day. So if you can, make sure you get out. Once again, my name is Simmer Nichols. This is Brother Musa Wahid, and thank you for our viewing today.